Everything good? All right, everything appears to be in order. So let's go ahead and get this started, everyone. Thankfully, I don't have to go anywhere, so I can just do this reaction and then do my reaction for One Piece, and then I'll be done for today. Well, not necessarily done, because I haven't played a game, or at least had a good stream with me playing a game and just talking to you guys. It'll probably be yet another chill and chat stream where I'm just playing any game. And hold on, let me see. Hey, I'ma catch one of these live for once. Kyushu, my man, I love your content, and I hope you can get to your dream of doing this full time. You deserve it. Well, Teolith, thank you. Also, your plug, let me not forget to mention you as well. Welcome. But Teolith, that really does mean a lot. I mean, I love doing this, and if you're good at something, that should be what sustains you. I mean, if you have a talent for something, your talents are capable of, providing for you, especially, not just finances, but fulfillment wise as well. So I immensely enjoy doing this, whether it's me doing reactions or voices or whatever. I give my all to this, and I enjoy it immensely. But we'll have we'll have more moments where we can talk about that. Today we are here to bring you more another chapter of My Hero Academia. Sorry if I'm not just, going straight into it. I just wanted to say all that at the beginning. But in the last chapter, in chapter 308, actually, you know what? I can't do this officially unless I do my intro. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here to bring you yet another chapter, reaction, and review of My Hero Academia. That last part didn't even come out. I tried to say academia, but my breath couldn't even come out. Of My Hero Academia. In the last chapter, Midoriya was pretty much just manhandling Muscular. Then we find out that one of the users, N, the previous users of One for All, N, we find out what his quirk is. And apparently Midoriya is able to create his own smoke screens now. It's literally a smoke screen quirk. And he uses this to aid himself in the fight against Muscular, while also obscuring him from viewing eyes of, the turtleneck girl and Yo. So, and then the last chapter just shows Midoriya punching Muscular with enough force to just throw up water and clear it out in a massive shockwave as well. So now, let me go ahead and refresh this page, so that way we can read chapter 309. There you are, baby. There you are, baby. All right. And who do we have here? It's called chapter 309, Can't Be a Child Anymore. And then we have here someone here from the Ketsubutsu Academy, third years. Both of these are third years. Hey, check it out. Ketsubutsu Academy, third year. Shikui Makabe, with his codename of Mr. Smith. Then we have Ketsubutsu Academy, third year, Itejiro Toteki, Boomerang Man. And one of them, Mr. Smith says, hey, check it. Well, let me just say Shikui, because Mr. Smith is a character from Solo Leveling, and I probably might call him that. But Shikui says, hey, check it out. And they see someone jumping into the air above them, and it's Midoriya. Here's the thing. Part of me was thinking, did Midoriya one-shot Muscular? And he did, because Midoriya has Muscular bound up in not only his black whip, but he also has some rope around him as well, and Muscular is not moving. Midoriya. Remember when Midoriya had to go all out in order to beat Muscular in their first meeting? And he wound up breaking his arm severely in the process? Here we have Midoriya meeting up with Muscular. Like, so much time has passed since then, and it's like the roles are reversed. Midoriya is the one with the overwhelming power, and Muscular is the one who's trying to keep up. Because Muscular's out. Muscular's done. Midoriya beat Muscular with that official punch. The first time we see Midoriya punch Muscular in these chapters, that was just to get him off of the roof. That wasn't to subdue him. Midoriya went to subdue him and just clocked him. And he's already jumping across the buildings with Muscular bound up. Jailbreaker. He's been... Then we have Yo and the Turtleneck Girl looking on. I never got to thank him. Here, miss, use this. And the civilians who were in the Taguchi building, they come to give Yo a stretcher so he can lay down on it. You'll have a tough time hauling him up on your own. Pull the car around. And she's just looking on as the old guy, who was giving them a whole time, says, see, we don't want anyone dying either. So I figure we should at least hear you out. And then Yo's laying there and he opens up his eyes slightly. And then he remembers. He remembers Midoriya from the exam days, from way back when. Was that the one from the exam? Let me make sure my mic is on. My mic is on. Tail lift. Oh my good. Whoa! I didn't even notice. I come. Here's the thing. I got My Hero full screen, so I don't see chat right now. Tail lift with the super chat. My goodness, I didn't even see that. I am so sorry. Wow. Let me read what you said. Tail lift with the super chat. Let's get another good session of voice acting. Tail lift, you're too kind. Remember when Midoriya was clinging onto All Might as he was leaping through the sky with a captured villain? And Invoker, welcome to the chat. Let me go back to the page. Let me go through this whole chapter, and then I'll read what you guys said. But Yo's remembering if it was Midoriya or not. Was that the one from the exam? But he's got a totally different vibe. Was that really the same kid? He remembers Midoriya as this frantic face-looking kid, and then he sees Midoriya holding him, and he remembers Midoriya holding him, and Midoriya has this vibe of, I am no longer the kid I used to be. And then we have someone landing outside the Dyna police station. Halt! State your business! And then Midoriya, with his hands up, says, you have Iron Maidens here, right? And then the cops, all the security there says, wait, that's Jailbreaker! And then Midoriya just bolts. He's just out. Midoriya just jumps away from them. Kind of like Spider-Man does in the game where he says, like, okay, the villains are beat up. Better get out of here before the cops get here. He just pulled the Spider-Man and just says, okay, everything's taken care of. I'm out. And then the security guards are like, wait! And Midoriya's just jumping through the air. Oh my goodness, to play a game like this where you're just in, not like a game like Spider-Man, but a game where you're just superhuman and you don't rely on webs and anything, because I just think about Spider-Man, but you're just superhuman and you use your superhuman agility to get through an entire city. Kind of like Prototype. Midoriya's just jumping through buildings, being super acrobatic about it. And then we have Midoriya here saying, the fourth has quiet down. Obviously thinking about the fourth user of One for All. And then he gets on his phone, he says, All Might, I'm headed back. And then we cut to an alleyway with All Might in some shades, looking on as Midoriya lands on the ground right next to him. He lands in an alley right where All Might is. And All Might says, you hurt? And Midoriya says, I'm all right. Your arms and legs? Just fine, thanks to you. Good thing you ordered these from America before the border was shut down. These mid-gauntlet suppression items. Oh, snap. So you mean to tell me that Midoriya got some support items from America that made it so that his arms could actually stand the shock of him using his full power? Bro! Midoriya done upgraded his gear! and the compression items just like unwind from his arms. But it kind of looks like Midoriya has a scar on his right arm there that I've never seen. That looks new. But let me read this again. Good thing you ordered these from America before the border was shut down. These mid-gauntlet compression support items. And then All Might says, well, they're just test samples, but they're made for endurance. They should reinforce your whole body, though they won't survive your output at 100%. So no going overboard before the big rematch. Got it? And the word rematch is in bold letters. And then Midoriya just thinks, no matter what happens to me, right. And then we have All Might's phone going off, I guess from his own ringtone. I'm on my way! I'm on my way! He literally has his ringtone as his own voice from what Midoriya says, from the Silver Age TV special? And then Midoriya just puts his mask and whole face mask and everything back on again. And then we get a voice on the phone. Hello, All Might? Is Midoriya doing okay? And it's Hawks. Though his voice is still a little bit shaky based on the shape of the speech bubbles. And apparently, who is this fighting? There's a giant villain here. And it looks to be Best Jeanist and Endeavor, while Hawks is in the background. Hawks is in the background on a roof, while Endeavor and Best Jeanist are taking on this large villain. Best Jeanist is using his strands to bind him up, while Endeavor just rocket punches into him. But Hawk says, is Midoriya doing okay? And then All Might says, yeah, no problem so far. Actually, he just got back. And then Midoriya says, sorry, gotta run. And I believe that little ting, that little shing that happened at over Midoriya's head was possibly his danger sense going off, and he possibly sensed another villain nearby. Possibly. That might be the reason why he's jumping away. I don't know, but let's keep going. But All Might says, yeah, no problem so far. Actually, he just got back. Sorry, gotta run. And now he's gone again. Then Hawk says, still graggly, he's probably wary of putting you or anyone else in danger. Probably should have gone with that voice a little bit. One line of thinking would be to keep him completely isolated to prepare to counter what's to come. But if the ones who cracked open Tartarus like an egg come well prepared themselves, it's all over anyway. Like the boy said, proactively seeking out the enemy raises our odds of victory. I realize this puts you in a tough position, but please do your best to support him in the meantime. And then we have, I'm guessing these are the events that happened with Midoriya actually getting out of the hospital, because we got his mom there. His mom is there. And then we have some narration here. Thanks to cutting-edge medical treatment and Recovery Girl's arrival at the hospital, a large number of patients recovered and were discharged. Izuku Midoriya wasn't far behind. Then we have a doctor coming up, says, it seems that you've previously been warned that these extreme injuries could leave you immobilized. You're lucky that you didn't suffer quite the same injury. In the past, it was as if the little explosions were contained in your body, but this time they made their way to the surface. And it shows his arms like that. It shows his arms exploding from him fighting Shigaraki back then. Additionally, I suppose you used your quirk to wrap up and reinforce your limbs from the inside out to keep them from shattering. The injuries were similar in nature, but your body has changed since then. Nevertheless, the deterioration hasn't stopped, so do be careful. And it shows Midoriya has a ton of scars over his body now. Like a lot of scars. Mostly in the areas where his arm kind of exploded from him using One For All during his fight with Shigaraki. This boy has been through some stuff. Remember when this boy used to be all scrawny? Now this dude's got full-on battle scars. And family's calling. Give me a sec. All right, sorry about that, everyone. You know how when family asks you for food and you tell them, and then they repeat it, and then repeat it, and then repeat it, and then repeat it, and then repeat it, and repeat it. Okay, back to it. Back to it. Sorry about that once again. Additionally, I suppose you used your quirk to wrap up and reinforce your limbs from the inside out to keep them from shattering. The injuries were similar in nature, but your body has changed since then. Nevertheless, the deterioration hasn't stopped, so do be careful. And then we have Midoriya's mom, who's finally speaking up. We haven't seen Midoriya's mom speak up quite a while. And she says, "May I ask for an explanation?" And then All Might is just thinking, "Is that okay, kid?" And we see a close-up of her face, and she's just looking with you can sense the worry. And then she says, "His power. He's able to maintain it because he was born quirkless, but that's also why the bad guys are coming after him now. What's going to happen to him?" Then All Might says, "We're making arrangements to keep him protected. UA will serve as a..." And then Midoriya says, "I'm not going back to UA." And this surprises both All Might, not really surprises All Might. He says, "I thought you might say that, kid." And then his mom says, "Izuku!" And then Midoriya says, "Shigaraki has the ability to locate me. It wouldn't even come as a surprise if he showed up to attack me right now. But I don't want anyone else to get hurt." And here we see Nejire, Bakugo, Shoto, Best Jeanist, Ryukyu, and some other heroes, Gran Torino, and Aizawa, as images of people that he sees as people that he doesn't want to get hurt, since they got hurt a lot during the fight with Shigaraki. Then Midoriya continues, "If they reach full strength, things will only get worse than things will get worse than ever." Sorry, I gotta pace myself. "If they reach full strength, things will get worse than ever, which is why I have to stop Shigaraki and All for One before that happens." And his mom says, "But you're in the hospital now because you couldn't beat them." Then Midoriya says, "I'll get stronger." "I know I said I felt reassured, but no, hearing all this, I can't take it." And he doesn't say anything. And then he holds his mom's hand. He's holding his mom's hand. And then he says, "Mom, when you thanked me and smiled, you don't know how happy that made me. And that's why." And then there's a flashback when his mom was hiding under the blanket, and she was all like, "That's the dad. I am here." The section. You know the part from My Hero where they just turned it into a complete meme. But he just thinks back to when he used to pretend to be All Might when he was just a child, way back when. And then his mom, and then he's thinking back further into the flashback when she says, "Wow, thank you so much, All Might. Oh, you were my Izuku all along." And then, because it shows her on the right side, hugging her son on the left side. And then it turns into a juxtapose many years later, where it shows her holding him in the same spot, but she's just bawling her eyes out. And then he says, "I have to go, but it's okay. I'll come home to you." And he's holding his mom like she used to hold him those many years ago. Wow, what a panel. Then All Might just thinks back when he bowed his head in front of his mom, trying to reassure her way back when he got seriously injured and got that massive scar across his hand that wraps around his hand. And then All Might says, "I know I can't stop you from going, so I'm coming too." And he says so with tears in his eyes, just crying, "Whether you like it or not." And then we have Best Jeanist, Endeavor, and Hawks. "The boy is leaving? Ah, not at all. Yes, I see. Right. This works in our favor, I suppose." And Best Jeanist, I have never seen someone hold a phone that way. Hold on. I have never seen anyone. Okay, so you know how Best Genius is always doing his hair like this. He's holding his phone like this. He's holding his phone like this. Who holds their phone like this? It's like you see my hands? This is the way his hands looks. Who holds? Sorry. That's a very small, minor thing, but that just stood out to me. He may be the only one who can determine Shigaraki and the villain's location. We were already considering making him the focal point of our efforts. And he's on the phone saying all this. Yes, very well. In that case, we shall follow in his wake while maintaining a safe distance. And I guess I didn't even fully look at that panel, but Hawk says, what a neat way to hold a phone. So, I'm not the only one who thinks that. Hawks is thinking, okay, that's a peculiar way to hold that. And then it cuts into the hallway where apparently Midoriya is seeing Gran Torino. It's Gran Torino. Is that so? Still crying about it even in death. I should have made the kill. Sorry. Don't be so rigid. Killing can be another way to save someone. Never forget that. And it is, in fact, Gran Torino's scarf that Midoriya has on him right now. And either way, you gotta settle the score with the League of Villains. Team up. Top three, and Deku and All Might. And it shows Midoriya with Hawks and the top 3 heroes along with All Might. Settle the score with the League of Villains. Next chapter hits April 25th, which means going from here, we are not going on break. So, I'll say this about this chapter. We got info on things that happened off screen that happened in the last one. But I'm glad we finally got the chance to... Hold on, let me bring you guys up. Let me see what you guys have said. Finally caught alive. Yes, I know, right? Deku kind of looks cool with his mask now. Yeah, he does. I don't like his mask. Hey, you have people who like his whole getup, and you have other people who don't. I like it because it's his kind of a little bit of his trademark now. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would just prefer for his face to be out in the open. But the mask is to make it harder for people to tell who he is. Because even though Shigaraki is capable, has a quirk that can locate him, Shigaraki is the only one who can do that. So, with a mask on, you never know if a villain that All For One let out is keeping an eye out for Midoriya. So, with the mask, it kind of, I guess I would like to think that the mask makes it so that just in case there are some villains who work for All For One who are keeping an eye out for Midoriya, it makes it harder for them to notice him. I think. But that's just me. Still think Deku looks lame. To each their own. But this was a bit of an expository chapter where we got a little bit of info about what happened to Midoriya before we see him, beat up Muscular and then drop him off at the police. Like, the fact that the first thing we see Midoriya do in this chapter is him sailing over the buildings, holding onto Muscular, who's just straight up unconscious. So your boy Midoriya has come a mighty long way since the early days of My Hero. Now, his mom, I gotta say, I am surprised that his mom has not had a severe mental breakdown due to all the things that have happened to her son. Like, she's been put at wit's end so many times. So many times when he would come home and his bones would be broken. A lot of times. And seeing him in the hospital multiple times. Seeing the ever-increasing number of scars just appear over his body whenever she visits him in the hospital. You would think that she'd be at her wit's end already. And here she is just... there's only so much a mother can take of seeing their child being hurt. And I mean, the fact that she hasn't lost her mind, because there's a limit. There's a limit to how much parents will take of seeing their kids harmed, especially when the said parent cares for their child immensely. So to see her there to see her there inside of the hospital, and she's hugging on him, like, we see a juxtapose of how she's looking at him, holding him when he was just like a kid, just a small kid, and he was pretending to be All Might to save her from danger just when they were playing around, and just seeing the happiness on her face. Then it juxtaposed to seeing tears of worry and sadness that her son has to leave by this. Has to leave because by him being around people, and with Shigaraki being able to locate him, that just puts more people in danger. So he came up with the decision. To just straight up leave UA in order for everyone else's safety. Because with the way the world is right now, I mean, we just seen right here that we seen right here when he had the support items to go around his arms to reinforce his body whenever he punches or uses one for all. He got it from the United States, and the United States have already closed their borders. But with the way the world is right now, they're harboring and sheltering people at UA in the different schools, because that's where a lot of quirk-using heroes are going to be. But with Midoriya being there, that just puts more civilian casualties under his radar, and just puts more civilian casualties on Midoriya. So Midoriya is leaving to protect everyone, and he's just going around being a hero. And apparently, Hawk's Best Jeanist and Endeavor are working with Midoriya and All Might, but they're keeping a safe distance back. So while Midoriya's doing stuff and taking on heroes, apparently he's doing it because it'll increases their odds of victory. Because for every villain that Midoriya and the rest of them bring in, it is one less person that they have to, one less enemy they have to worry about, just in case All For One decides to go all out and just bring out all of his army, because that's what he's doing. He's building an army of quirk users that he's broken out of prison. So, I mean, this has got to be immensely hard on Midoriya. And he says, like, don't worry, Mom, I will come back. But when you think about it, now mind you, I'm not a parent, so I can't even begin to understand how it feels to see your child get harmed in all these ways, and then they tell you, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm not gonna come back. I gotta leave because that just puts you all in danger. So I'm gonna go do my own thing, but I promise you I'll come back home. So for her, I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to see your son just say, hey, I'm not gonna go back here. I'm gonna leave. That way it keeps you guys out of danger. But he's putting himself in danger. So I thought this was a pretty good chapter. It didn't get me out of my seat, but at the same time, I feel like this was a well-done chapter. Now, mind you, a lot of people seem to think that just because chapters like these don't have a whole bunch of action in it, and I see some of the same people say that as well. I saw someone say something that about the last chapter of One Piece was incredibly underwhelming, and it was absolute trash for whatever reason. Their reasons never really make sense. They just like to say that the chapters of One Piece are just trash just because it doesn't meet their standards. But overall, I thought this chapter was really good. I'm glad that we get chapters like this. Chapters where it's not just, ooh, fighting, and fighting. Because when we have moments of character development like this, and a little bit more world building, I feel like it really works well for the characters that are in that world itself. So, I'm glad we get chapters like this. It doesn't have to be all fighting and spectacle and everything. No, we can have moments like this where it just builds on what we had before. I mean, this is kind of what the Todoroki family chapters were like. So I'm glad that we actually got these. But my opinion, this was a solid 8 out of 10. And 8 out of 10 does not mean that it's not as epic as a 9 or a 10, but this was a really good chapter, and I'm glad that we got this. So, and Gran Torino, I would like to say he's in critical, I wouldn't say in critical condition, but I don't think that he's going to be returning to hero work at any point in the future. I'm pretty sure he's stuck, bedridden for who knows how long. But, we're getting another chapter on the 25th, which means that we're not going on break. So who knows what we're going to be getting in the next chapter. But let me see what you guys have been saying, because a lot of the things that you've been saying, I kind of want to touch on as well. Let me see what you guys have said. You can tell Deku changed mentally, physically, and emotionally. Still thinks Deku looks lame. Okay, I already read that. But his whole outfit looks nice to me. He only looks good when he covers his mouth and his eyes are drawn dark. I would have had a mental breakdown if I was her. With Black Whip and Danger Sense, Deku is basically Spider-Man. Yes, he is. He's basically Spider-Man. Did I ever give a chapter something lower than a 6? I believe. I might have given it to one of the earlier chapters for One Piece and Whole Cake Island, because I feel like there was a lot of chapters that just really carried on and didn't really meet too much substance in those chapters. That might have even been before I even started doing reactions on them. But some chapters of Whole Cake Island just felt like they just took too long. So I don't know if I actually gave any recent chapters 6 or whatever karma. But I know for a fact there were chapters where it was all like, this was alright. This was alright. It wasn't all that. It was just a okay chapter. But let me continue going. But Shonen says, with Black Whip and Danger Sense, Deku is basically Spider-Man. Yep. I would feel like he's Spider-Man, but the Black Whip makes it seem like he's using the symbiote as well, because it's basically just tendrils shooting out. Just like this Venom symbiote can do. Deku versus Muscular was very short. It was just one punch and it was over. He has been so close to ruining his body and dying. Pretty sure Deku will have some sort of healing quirk at some point. We still don't know what the second and third users' quirks are. We haven't even seen them speak, nor do we know their names. So that's something we need to find out. If one of those two has a healing quirk, then that kind of meets the criteria for Midoriya, as far as having the whole wide range of repertoire of quirks in his body that fits every single criteria, every necessary criteria. Let's see, that's what I said. Yeah, I hope so, because the other two predecessors don't really agree with him. He worked so hard to get into UA, now look, it's pretty sad. It is. I mean, he worked so hard to get into UA, and now he has to leave in order to protect everyone else, because he's there after him. And the students know what's going on with Midoriya. They know where his quirk comes from. They know the full story about Midoriya, so there's no secret about it between students. Now, the world itself, they don't know. The reporters don't know. But only the close people, like the students of Class 1A and Best Genius and Hawks and pretty much everyone else, and everyone else at the top, they know. But as far as everyone else doesn't know. But overall, I'm just wondering where are we going to go from here. Because I feel like out of every villain that All For One has set free, I feel like Muscular was the biggest powerhouse that they had. I mean, Machia, Gigantomachia, don't know where he's at. I mean, if he ever gets free, if All For One ever finds out where they took Gigantomachia and he gets free, then it's just going to be all those cities devastated all over again. Because, I mean, it's Machia. So, other than Machia, Muscular was the biggest villain powerhouse that we have seen outside of All For One and Shigaraki themselves. So it remains to be seen where we're going to go in the next chapter. I can make theories, I can make hopes that I would like to see the introduction and explanation of the second and third users of One for All, find out what their quirks are, but at the same time, I feel like it may not go in that direction. We might cut to Midoriya still going through the city, or we could just completely cut to other people doing other things. Like Midoriya could just be, it could be like a first panel with Midoriya fighting the villain, but then it cues over to other people like, I don't know, Uraraka and the students of 1A. So it remains to be seen where we're going to go from here. What about Destro? I forgot about Destro. Did they arrest him? I don't think they arrested him. Destro, Redestro? I don't know. Did they capture him? Hold on, let me look. I gotta look this up. I don't think they captured him, so I think he's out there somewhere. And also, since there's no One Piece chapters, I can just get started on the next episode of One Piece after this. Where is he now? Where is he now? Synopsis. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, he's actually been arrested. So Makia, however, brought most of the hero's attention to himself, which left Redestro fighting against Edgeshot alone after a long battle. Yeah, Edgeshot defeated Redestro. He defeated him. During the entire assault on the Paraliberation Mansion, Edgeshot was the one who brought him down. Whatever happened to the first Nomu? That's actually a good question. Whatever happened to the first Nomu? Because all the other Nomu, I think the villains, think the heroes killed when they were encountered, but the very first Nomu we saw when Kurogiri, Shigaraki, and the first Nomu showed up at UA, we never did find out what they did with it, did we? Hold on, I'm gonna look that up too. I know Twice is a villain, but I kind of liked him. I was sad when he died. I feel like Twice was misunderstood. As a villain, he just kind of, his mannerisms and actions were based purely on the environment he was in. So basically, sure, he may have been like kind of like the Deadpool of the group, but I feel if he had time with some heroes, he would have been a fantastic hero. He was just sadly misguided by Shigaraki and other people. So it's kind of, it was actually kind of sad to lose him, because I actually liked Twice. I liked Twice. Then because remember, when he got his quirk and he made clones of himself, and then the clones kept arguing about which one was the real one, and they all killed themselves, it kind of had an effect on his psyche, because he didn't want to get injured in any way or any serious way, because he didn't know, because he got driven to the point where he couldn't even tell if he was the original or not. But during the whole League of Villains versus the Paraliberation Army, and he got his arm broken, he found out he was the real one, and he just went all out with his quirk. He was all like, I'm the real me, which means I can go all out. And then he just creates an almost endless army of himself, just like a sea of Twices. So I feel like if he were to turn into a hero, he would have been a valuable one. Can you imagine thinking you're a villain, and you got a whole squad with you, and then you face off against Twice, and Twice just makes like an army's worth of himself to take on your gang? Who knows the limits of how far his quirk can go? He would have been fantastic at espionage. He would just have to know the measurements of the person to make them look like him. Just, it's sad to lose him, because he had so much potential as a hero. It's just the environment he was in ruined him and messed with his mind. And even when Hawks was trying to talk to him, if it wasn't for Toya coming in there and messing things up, I would honestly believe that Hawks might have had a slight chance of fully convincing him. Twice versus Naruto. Ooh, that's a good one. Now, here's the thing about that, Grant. Twice versus Naruto using only Shadow Clone Jutsu, no Rasengans, no Sage Mode, no special jutsus, just Naruto using the Shadow Clone, multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. I feel, that is actually kind of hard, because I don't know what type of I don't know the extent of Twice's combat training in terms of fighting is. I mean, I feel like with the way that Twice's quirk works, I feel like he would excel at overwhelming numbers, without having to have much combat experience. But Naruto, he knows fully fighting. He knows how to full martial arts and everything like that. Do you think Shigaraki has a chance of coming back mentally? Naruto would still win. He has the fighting skills. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going when it says Naruto knows how to fight. He has the martial arts skills. So even if Twice could send in an endless amount of clones, Naruto has the martial arts skills to combat all these clones. Especially with his training. Naruto trained since he was a kid. We don't know how long Twice has learned to use his quirk. And then he limited himself when all of his clones tried to kill everyone. Tried to kill themselves, trying to find out which one was the real one. So that was a period of time when he didn't even want to fully use his quirk on himself. So that was a period of time that he could have been training, but he didn't. So Naruto edges out. Branderson the Legend. Oh, I see you saw my Why Hello video. But, yeah, it would probably have to go to Naruto. But going back to Amy's question, do you think Shigaraki has a chance of coming back mentally? That's actually a really good question. Now, given the clues and given the cues that we've seen in previous chapters, such as Midoriya saying the face that Shigaraki had was not a person who's just full with hate, but it looks like the face of someone who looks like they needed to be saved. Now, I'm not saying that that's exactly how Shigaraki felt, but I feel like Shigaraki, the way Shigaraki is also a product of the environment that he was brought up in. So his father had a hatred for heroes because his mom went out to be a hero and pretty much left him, not knowing the full circumstances of why she left all the time. I mean, she had the power of one for all, and she had to fight all for one, and, getting family too close just puts them in all for one's crosshairs as a way to get to users of one for all. So, with that environment, and with Shigaraki's father just being, horrible, and treating him poorly, it's because of Shigaraki's upbringing that just made it worse. Not only that, but when All For One got his hands on Shigaraki, he just drove that he just groomed him to be a villain, to be the next me, he says. So, Twice and Shigaraki, the way they are now, well, the way Shigaraki is now, the way Twice was, it's all because of the environment that they were brought up in. And the people that they were surrounded by. Twice by the League of Villains, Shigaraki by All For One. So, and seeing how Twice was actually considering, even the thought of it crossed his mind. Maybe it's possible for Shigaraki as well. Because Shigaraki wasn't born with this hatred of heroes. That type of hate is taught, and it was by All For One. So I believe there is some semblance in Shigaraki, buried deep in his subconscious, that maybe maybe Midoriya can get to. But it has to be Midoriya, though. Only Midoriya. Because Midoriya is the only one who can really get to Shigaraki on a mental level. But we're going to have to see. I'm going to go ahead and end this right here. Because, wow, I have almost gone on 50 minutes just talking. Sorry about that, everyone. But I'm going to end it right here. We're just going to have to see where these chapters go and how this story ends. At some point, My Hero Academia is going to end, or at least, I mean, I see a lot of people talking about, oh, there's going to be a time skip. So we'll just have to see. But that's all I got for you guys. So with that being said, hold on. Okay, let me see. So is the LOV just full of broken League of Villains just full of broken villains? Seems that way. They all have some type of traumatizing backstory. All of them do. Compressed does, Toya does, Himiko, Toga has it, Shigaraki has it. I think Spinner has it as well. Everyone's just got messed up backgrounds. We don't know. I think the only one we don't know who has a super messed up background is, well, actually, All For One has a messed up background. He helped people on the pretense of them do him favors, all for the sake of becoming Japan's #1 villain, and now he's working on becoming the world's greatest demon lord or whatever. So pretty much everyone in the League of Villains has a pretty traumatizing backstory that has pushed them into where they are right now. So yeah, League of Villains is full of broken villains. There's not a single one who just decided, you know what, I'm just going to be evil from the get-go, and then just continue on from there. I don't need no backstory about it. I just wanted to do that. No one ever mentions how Deku at the beginning of the story says it's the story of how he became the greatest hero, so we know kind of what's gonna happen. I mean, yeah, I've said this a whole bunch of times as well. I mean, this is the story of how Midoriya is gonna become the greatest hero. This is literally the first starting line of the first chapter of My Hero Academia. So, it's going to happen. We're just experiencing all the chapters in between that point. So we are definitely going to reach that, but when that's going to happen remains to be seen. All I know is that when that rematch, and specifically in this chapter, I know I said I was about to end this, but you got me talking again. But in this chapter, it says, like, when it's time to, you're going to need all your strength for the rematch. So Midoriya's going to face off against Shigaraki again. And, well, kinda, I mean, he's gonna have to, but then we still have All For One, who's out as well. We have All For One's consciousness that is inside Shigaraki, and we also have the real All For One, who's just out there right now as well. So, double trouble. We got Shigaraki, and we got All For One. And All For One has all of his quirks, but it's just a duplicate version. Shigaraki has the original. So that's just more devastation happening. So we're just gonna have to see where these chapters go from here. I gotta end it here because my family's got food for me and I want to eat that before I record my One Piece reaction. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens next week, if we're gonna continue from Midoriya's viewpoint or continue from someone else's viewpoint. Given how Horikoshi likes to switch things up every now and again, I wouldn't be surprised if we take a different viewpoint from Midoriya in the next chapter. Shigaraki is gonna join us. We're gonna have to see. Karma, it is on the 18th of April. I'll hold you to that. Karma's saying that Shigaraki is gonna join us. He's calling it now. But that's all we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna bring it up. If he joins, I'm going to bring it up. But with that being said, that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to watch my reaction to My Hero Academia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say it's an absolute honor to do this for you. Thank you, Teolift, for the super chat. It means a lot to me. You didn't have to, but you did, and I'm just so appreciative of you guys enjoying what I do. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Bit my tongue. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel, and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.